I am not in the atmosphere or the career, if you will, of saving people.
Right.
I don't save people, but I will introduce you to information that I believe could ultimately change your life. So my family has been a bit of a struggle, but with my community and my friends, that's all day. On my Instagram, that's all day, right? The more people I can help, the more people I can expose to new information that they wasn't prevalent to prior, the more people I can put in position to win makes me feel good. It makes me feel good as a person. And the more value, if you give more value to somebody than you receive in cash value, you will always win. You will always win. The art of receiving is the art of giving. See, a lot of people want things in life, but they're not giving things in life in order to receive the things that they want.
Mm-hmm.
And once I truly start to understand that concept, I realized that being wealthy and creating the lifestyle I want really revolves around my ability to serve people.
You bougie bitches kill me. And if you don't get it together and drop these macho attitudes, you are never going to have anybody bringing you anything, anywhere, any place, anytime, ever.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
All of you jealous, ugly bitches can kiss my fabulous, very perky black ass. And yes, William, today, you're one of those bitches.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Barely Adulting Podcast, where we discuss news, relationships, pop culture, life issues, and so much more. I am your host, T. Marie. Now, for this week's episode of the podcast, we have a little bit in store for you, so I can't wait till y'all actually listen to it. Thank you for everybody who's been supporting already, and feel free to share, like, subscribe, and download the podcast everywhere. We are available on Apple Podcasts. We're available on Spotify and YouTube and everything else as well. So go ahead and share it. And for everyone who's new here, welcome. I appreciate you stepping in, stopping by. You know, we do have a couple, lengthy episodes, but hey, listen to the episodes throughout the week. You don't have to do it all in one sitting, okay? But again, thank you so much for going ahead and supporting. Now, with that being said, let us go ahead and get to our morning coffee segment, which is going to be real quick, and then we'll get into our ground table talk. So, stay tuned. I got you covered.
Anybody want coffee? I'm making coffee. Anybody want coffee?
So, for our morning coffee segment this week, we only have a couple things that we want to talk about because it was two major things that happened throughout the week. The first being Texas and the rest of this country, right? We had some kind of winter wonderland type of thing happening this week, and everyone experienced low temperatures, some type of snow in some way, shape, or form, except for probably Florida or Hawaii. Like, everybody else got snow, right? But the ones who got hit the most was Texas, or the worst or the hardest, right, was Texas. Everybody experienced their own little thing. We even had below temperatures up here, and it was just frigid cold. But again, we can handle that. Being in Illinois, states like Wisconsin and things of that nature, we typically get snow, right? We know what to do, how to handle it. Our infrastructure is actually built for the snow and any other weather that comes with it, so we're good. However, Florida definitely got hit with snow, one, and also blackouts. So they were out of electricity, like they didn't have electricity for a while, for a couple days or so. Power was just out, and there was no heat. So a lot of Texans were going through, a lot because they typically don't get this type of weather. And of course, because they don't get this type of weather, their buildings and their infrastructure is not, suitable for this type of, situations. So with that being said, a lot of people's not only were out of power, but also pipes burst, which caused flooding in their homes. So you would literally see like clips of people's houses being flooded with water coming through the ceiling and everything else. So there has been a lot of damage. I'm still praying for everyone down there. I know I have some family and friends down there. So I'm just keeping you all in my prayers. And the state is warming up now. It's coming at least close to 70 degrees. That's what I'm hearing. So I'm glad that it's actually getting back to the weather that it should be. But at the same time, still pray for them. Still give if you can. Reach out to your loved ones, make sure they're okay, because there were some people that have died in this whole, situation. Like, it was a little girl and I believe a woman who passed away in their cars for actually trying to stay warm, but they had their garage door closed while sitting in the car with the windows up, and carbon monoxide poisoning ended up killing them. And there's probably a couple other cases like that, and efforts to stay warm in this frigid air. Some people experience just trying to figure out ways to cook and things of that nature. So, like I said, keep all these Texans in your prayers. We are definitely doing that on our end over here. And whatever you can do, donate and all that. I don't have any links for donations and things of that nature. You're going to have to do that part yourself and try to research and see who's actually helping out in that sense. But a lot of people have saying that their power is coming back on and everything else, which is great. But one thing that I do want to note is that Ted Cruz was nowhere to be found. He was actually privileged enough to leave the state while everything was going on. He was actually in either Mexico, New Mexico, something like that, which is crazy because I thought you were a diehard Texan. If you're a diehard, you fighting for all this, you should be down there with your people. But it's a privilege to actually be able to leave and go somewhere else that was safe and kind of leave your people out to dry. That's all I have to say about that. But anywho, there was a North Carolina donor. His name is Fred Elshman. He gave $2.5 million to the voter fraud probe, and he's now suing to get all of his money back. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about Fred, Mr. Fred over here. When the elections was going on and this whole voter fraud thing was going on about who was really counting the votes, or if the votes were counted, or they were not true votes and all this other stuff, when Trump's whole re-election thing was going on and he didn't get reelected, right? Fred Elshman actually paid to the Vote organization $2 million and then another $500,000, trying to see if these votes were actually legit. And come to find out, True the Fraud actually dropped the lawsuit of the voter fraud situation or whatever. And now he's talking about, oh, well, I want my money back because y'all didn't provide any proof or evidence of it being true votes or not. Well, they came back and said, well, now that you in some hot water, now you want to go ahead and try to get your money back. This wasn't a conditional contract. So they're suing each other at this point about all of this. But at the end of the day, after hearing everything and their statements and all that, because Fred came out and said, True the Vote failed in every way to make use of my directed donation to investigate and either prove or disprove election fraud as agreed upon, and failed to respond to my request for information about how the funds were spent. And like I said, True the Fund just came back and said it was never clear or discussed that it was a conditional gift. So they're going back and forth about that. In my eyes, I feel like Fred just got in some little hot water and now all of a sudden he wants to cry wolf and want his money back. But baby, you paid that money. It's not in the contract. It was no tax or anything that showed it. So you may be losing out on this little, thing or whatever, talking about he wanted a refund and paperwork saying where it was spent. I mean, he has the right to that, but at the end of the day, like, are you really just saying that because no evidence was proven that it was voter fraud? You spent $2.5 million. So honestly, you should just lose it. You spent it. You made that transaction. You signed off on it. It is what it is. But like I said, it is what it is. But anyway, this is still Black History Month, so I hope that you are still doing your research, and I hope this doesn't stop with Black History Month at all. Um, and go ahead and find out something new about, a new person in your life, or go support a black business today and the rest of the week, and go on so forth, and later on down the line after Black History Month is over. I know Target has a couple people that they have featured in their stores as well. So everybody has a local Target, I'm pretty sure. Or if you are close to one, shoot, you can even have it delivered to your house or whatever. Support a black business while we're in this month, and also further on down the line. All right. So that is it with your morning coffee for this week. We're going to go ahead and get into our Grown Folks Table Talk session. And yeah, and get on with this conversation, because I know you all are ready to hear it. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Hey everyone, we have another special guest here on the podcast this week, Eugene Marshall. Eugene is a social entrepreneur, author, real estate investor, small business coach, and most importantly, a student to life. Over the past several years, he has built 2 six-figure businesses. For this very reason, he has created a system that allows him to assist people and businesses to reach their goals while utilizing their gifts. He is a problem solver and loves to define himself as solution-oriented. Eugene promotes financial stability and independence through business ownership and real estate. His vision is to create a cohesive unit of driving forces to economically redevelop urban areas where there is a high concentration of crime, poverty, and unemployment. Everyone, please give a round welcome to Eugene.
What up? What up? What up? How y'all feeling? How you doing? It's Wednesday, right? Yeah, it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
How y'all feeling on this Wednesday night?
Oh, child, it feels like it's been Friday for a couple days now, honestly. Like, how have you been though? Like, what's been going on in your life? Let's do a little check-in real quick.
Yeah. Wow. Where do I start? What's been going on? So I finally wrapped up a renovation project that I've been working on for forever. Finally got that thing finished, and we still kind of handling like little small miscellaneous stuff here and there. Just had my guys put up some closets today, just so I can get the property rent ready. We getting ready to do a deep clean, so I can start showing sometime next month or whatever. So that has really been keeping the majority of my attention. But more importantly, though, I've really just been in a place where I'm kind of heavy on the personal development, heavy on the locking in on myself, heavy on the networking, I'm heavy on the, becoming the best version of yourself. So that's kind of really, really where I'm at. I think 2021 is going to be one of the best years I've ever experienced, and I'm really looking forward to seeing things unfold.
Oh, that's awesome. So let's go ahead and get started with the topic of discussion. And we're really talking about generational wealth and just building wealth within the community, right? So first things first, how did you get your start in real estate investing?
Yeah. So how did I get my start? Wow. You know what? When I was in college, I graduated from Northern Illinois University back in 2018. And when I was in college, I really, really had a knack for just wanting more. Like I've always wanted to be the best. I always wanted more. And coming up, I had got an internship with this company or whatever. I won't say the name, but I ended up getting an internship, and they was paying me really good. And so I come from a very low income neighborhood, low income environment. Family didn't really have a whole lot of things. And, you know, me landing that internship was a huge thing for me. And so got into college through the grace of God and some mentors that really was just like, yo, you got to go to college for a semester and see what it's like, and, you know, just get that experience. If you don't like it, you can come back home. And, you know, this was around a time where my mindset was so screwed up that college wasn't even an idea for me. And every time they brought up the word college, you know, it just really made me like cringe. And I remember when I first toured NIU, I had a headache because I was so overwhelmed with how big it was. I was like, yo, like, it ain't no way in hell I'm about to make it through this, because when I was in high school, I graduated with a 1.6 GPA, and I wasn't. I'm not gonna say I wasn't always smart, but I just hung around people that wasn't doing the things that really could reflect me and the person that I truly am. So I had that little piece, but anyway, so I got an internship. And, I knew that I came from a place of poverty. I knew I came from a place that, didn't really have any strong support systems in place. And so when I got the internship, I really wanted to kill it. I wanted to do well, because I wanted to make sure that, when I finished school, that I had a job in play, because, that's the primary reason why most of us go to school, is so that we can get a job, we can get a return on the investment, meaning those student loans. And so had this internship, did really well, and they decided to keep me on part-time while I went back to school. And so while I was in school, I was working this job part-time, and I had a lot of discretionary income that was coming in comparison to the average student. I think I was making like $1,200 to $1,500 sometimes every 2 weeks, and this was while I was in school. And so I had a lot of cash just kind of sitting there. I was what they said, flexing. Like, I was always fresh. I had the latest this, I had the latest that. I had money coming in, but I ain't had shit to show for it, because at that time, with having a limited mindset, we tend to buy things that make us, feel that we have a certain status. It makes us feel good to other people, because we don't know what we don't know. And so I got inside this group chat. This Q, who I'm very close friends with, was like, yo, you should join this group chat. They be talking about investing and stuff all the time. I'm gonna just add you in there. So he added me in the group chat, and these folks was talking about Bitcoin. They was talking about cryptocurrency, and I had no idea what any of this shit was. But I did have a lot of discretionary income sitting on the side. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna see what's good. I'm gonna see what's going on. And so I ended up putting like almost close to $10,000 into Bitcoin, across Bitcoin and Ethereum. And keep in mind, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. And 2 weeks later, I looked up. I had made between like 15 to 20,000. I can't remember exactly how much it was, but it was a lot of money. And so I was like, yo, how in the hell did I just make $15,000 to $20,000 in like 2 weeks or whatever? Like, I need to figure this out, because I was working an internship, and during my internship, it would take me 3, 4 months, 6 months to make that. I was not making that. And so inside this group chat, they had a list of books to read. And one of the books they had on a list of recommendations was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that book ultimately changed my life. That is a book that I read at least once a year, because it really gave me the foundation to create something better for myself. And one of the things that he talked about in there was assets, right? Assets, anything that, make you money, liabilities, anything that take your money, right? If we can generalize it with those set of definitions. And so he talked about real estate, and he talked about how, real estate is one of the best investment vehicles for any person to build wealth and live the lifestyle that they want. And he also goes to talk about how he or she that owns the most land wins. And so I want to be that guy that wins. And so that book really planted the seed in my brain to get started in real estate. I graduated in 2018. I landed a job. I had my job secured before I graduated. For the college student that's listening, I would highly recommend for you to do that if you can. I know the job market is very tough, but if you can get a head start, it'll help you, kind of like deviate and release some stress. So I had a job, already like secured or whatever, through the grace of God. So happy for that. And so immediately when I got my job, I knew I would have the discretionary income or the salary or the buying power to go out and look for properties that I could actually afford. And so I went out, I got a pre-approval, had some buddies of mine that was already in real estate, and they kind of gave me the lay of the land. I was like, hey, these are the communities in Chicago that are up and coming that you need to invest in, get in now, because 2, 3, 4 years from now, you're not going to be able to buy there, and everybody's going to be trying to get there, but the competition is going to be so tough that it's going to be like trying to find a needle in a haystack. So got my first property, and it was a long story from there that we could dive into as the podcast kind of go on. But that's how I got my start.
Wow. Now it just sounds like you did a whole 360 when it came to your life, because you're saying that you started out with little to no money, got into college, got an internship prior to college, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I got the internship in college.
In college. Okay. So you got the internship. They kept you on part-time and everything else. You was making more than the average college student, which says a lot because a lot of college students don't make that much in college in general. But you did touch on something I did want to talk about: saving. You mentioned that you were going out buying the hottest things and hottest whatever it was because that's how you felt what you were supposed to have. That's what you felt that you needed. Where did that mindset come from? Did that come from not having anything prior to, or was it just like, I just want to flex on all these people out here because I got it like that type of mentality?
Yeah, I think it came from a lack of priorities, not really understanding what my value system was at the time. My focus was just on kicking it. That was a priority for me, having a good time, kicking it, maintaining this image of who I was. And I was in a fraternity, or I'm in a fraternity. And so it was just that college party lifestyle, having a good time, not really truly understanding what I should be focusing on at that time. So it was that for the most part.
So what made you wake up then? If you're spending all this frivolous money on just unnecessary things, what made you say, hey, this is what I want to do? Now, I know you kind of mentioned it before, saying like, I want to be the person that wins, but what made you make that change?
Yeah. What really made me make that change was cracking open that book. Listen, I didn't read the book. I don't really read books as much. I actually listen to them.
Okay.
So one thing that's very key for folks to understand is, how do they learn, right? You got to pay attention to yourself and understand how you learn. And for me, I'm an audio learner. I'm an audio learner and I'm a visual learner. I can't really read and learn like that. I can, but it's not my preferred way. I end up getting all sleepy and all that crap. So I would rather just listen to stuff. So when I was listening to Rich Dad Poor Dad on Audible, it was literally explaining my life. It was explaining how I grew up. And it was like, like, what the hell? The only difference is I never had a rich dad, but I did have mentors in my life who was living a totally different lifestyle than my dad was living, because my dad made poor decisions as he was growing up. And, I saw that I was getting ready to contribute to that same system that produces or keeps us, when I say us, I'm referring to Black people, in a system where we don't own anything. And so that was my wake up call when I realized that, like, in order for me to live a better lifestyle, in order for me to create the lifestyle that I want, I have to do something differently. If I want to be wealthy, I have to do something different. And that book was my eye opener.
So were you able to bring that information that you've learned already as a young individual back to your family members, or back to your community, or your just friends that you're really close with?
All day. All day. I mean, that's what I am dedicating my life to: promoting financial stability and independence through business ownership and real estate. That is what I am dedicating the rest of my life to do. And what's interesting is that I noticed you mentioned family first, right? Because we always want to put family first. We always want to make sure our family is straight.
Right.
But sometimes when we come from those low income communities or those places throughout the land where people kind of live paycheck to paycheck, those things become their normal.
Right.
And when you start talking about things that's a bit different, it makes them uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't really want to get into the whole investing and doing real estate. And like, they come up with all these different excuses, if you will, for why they shouldn't do these certain things. Take place in the industry, take place in the craft, take place in the whole realm of, you know, building out your asset column. So I've actually struggled with getting my family on board to adopt this concept that we should be putting our attention into accumulating as much assets as possible so that we can leave a legacy and not pass down debt. And that really all boils down to their conditioning and their programming. So I've had a very hard time with some family members, and I recognize that. And the quicker you can recognize that, the quicker you can save time, because I am not in the atmosphere or the career, if you will, of saving people.
Right.
I don't save people, but I will introduce you to information that I believe could ultimately change your life. So my family has been a bit of a struggle, but with my community and my friends, that's all day. On my Instagram, that's all day, right? The more people I can help, the more people I can expose to new information that they wasn't prevalent to prior, the more people I can put in position to win makes me feel good. It makes me feel good as a person. And the more value, if you give more value to somebody than you receive in cash value, you will always win. You will always win. The art of receiving is the art of giving. See, a lot of people want things in life, but they're not giving things in life in order to receive the things that they want.
Mm-hmm.
And once I truly start to understand that concept, I realized that being wealthy and creating the lifestyle I want really revolves around my ability to serve people and put people first.
That's good.
Right? But we have to understand that, you know, that we can serve people and create a fortune out of doing that. Right? I'm not in the business of serving people as a hobby. I am in the business to serve people so that I can serve myself as well.
So I know you spoke about wealth and you wanted to be wealthy. So I really want to get into first this question: how do you define generational wealth? And after we get into that, then we'll go ahead to the second part of that question.
Absolutely. So you got wealth, and then you got being wealthy, and you got being rich, right? So wealth to me is how many days can you survive forward based on the assets that you have. How many days can you survive forward based on the assets that you have, right? And when I say how many days that you can survive forward,
Mm-hmm.
I am personally not just talking about myself,
Right.
but I am talking about the family that's going to stem from me as well, because they are me. So how many days can you survive forward? You meaning your family meaning your wife, meaning your kids, meaning your nephews, meaning your nieces, meaning, you know, everybody that's in that immediate circle of yours, because sometimes, you know, family isn't always bloodline.
Right.
Right? Family isn't always bloodline. So for me, wealth is how many days can you survive forward based on the assets that you have.
So at the end of the day, it's whoever gets that inheritance. So with that also being stated, what are you doing to build your own generational wealth? Because I know prior to, you just said you didn't have, correct me if I'm wrong, generational wealth coming up, but you're in the process of actually creating it for yourself, and not just your family or friends, whoever you call family. It doesn't have to be blood related, right? You're trying to keep them, above water in a sense. So how are you tacking on that generational wealth idea and continuing that for the years to come?
Absolutely. I think that's a very excellent question. And I would like to answer that as such. The best thing that we can ever do is become the best version of ourselves. The best thing that we can ever do is become the best version of ourselves, not only because we owe it to ourselves, but we owe that to the entire planet.
Mhm.
The more, see, we think about all these things that we want. Oh, I want a Lamborghini, or I want to be able to travel the world and go to Dubai and go to Puerto Rico and go to Dominican and, you know, go to Africa. And I want this lifestyle. I want a big house. But we don't necessarily sit back and ask ourselves, who do we need to become to get those things? See, there's a transitional period. There's a phase that you must go through as a person in order to receive those things. So it starts at knowing that the best thing that you can ever do is become the best version of yourself. Now, when you become the best version of yourself, you now have an obligation to share the best version of yourself to everybody in the world. And when you do that, there's an emphasis on sparking that desire in other people to influence them to become the best version of themselves as well. Because when you become the best version of yourself, you live a more happier and abundant life, right? So whatever that means for you, for the listeners, right? Become the best version of yourself. For me, I am leveraging real estate as a vehicle for me to build wealth. Not only am I leveraging real estate, I am also leveraging digital businesses. I am leveraging service-based businesses. And more importantly, you need to have need-based businesses. So having physical assets, having digital assets, especially in this world, because, you know, right now we're living in a digital age, so it's very important for you to have digital real estate as well. So for me, I am building out my empire. I am building wealth one day at a time. And every day when I wake up in the morning, I remind myself by saying, one affirmation that I really love to say is, you know, I'm so happy and grateful now that every day I become wealthier and wiser. I'm so happy and grateful now that every day I become wealthier and wiser. And the more information that I consume and the more information that I actually apply and understand, the more wiser and wealthier I become. And I think a lot of people, they read books all the time and they try to, you know, memorize things and regurgitate information, but the true success don't lie in there. The true success lies in the understanding and the application of that.
So I hear that you have multiple streams of income from that. Do you believe that you can just create that generational wealth based off of one stream of income, or having a job that is like a 9 to 5 or anything like that?
No.
Why is that?
I don't believe that you can create generational wealth off of one stream of income. We have to see, this is what we have to do. In order to be wealthy, you have to study what the wealthy do.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way for you to become wealthy. You have to study what wealthy people do. If you see, we all define wealth in our own way, right? But if you truly want to be wealthy, you have to study what the wealthy do. So what do the wealthy do, right? Most millionaires have at least 7 streams of income, right? So if 80% or 90% of all millionaires own real estate, then why wouldn't I own real estate?
Mm-hmm.
If 90% of all millionaires have at minimum 3 to 4 streams of income, then why would I not have 3 to 4 streams of income? See, when you don't play by the rules, you never get in the game.
That's facts.
It's rules to this. It's real life codes. And I am not the person that's trying to reinvent. I am in no way trying to reinvent the wheel. Why would I spend so much energy and time reinventing the wheel when I can just duplicate what's already there?
The wheel already works. Why try to fix it?
The wheel already works.
Mm-hmm.
So I know if I want to make my first million, which I will. When I make my first million, I am going to make my first million based off the people that I've studied, and this is what they did. So no, I don't think that you can build generational wealth off of off of one stream of income. You got to have multiple streams of income. Even if you do got a 9-to-5 job, you can still invest in real estate. You can still have a side business. You can still have multiple streams of income. I am not against 9-to-5 jobs in no way. I believe that 9-to-5 jobs is one of the best ways for you to get those soft skills that you need in order for you to become a successful business owner. And a 9-to-5 job, it gives you the seed capital to get started.
Mm-hmm.
And if you work in a 9-to-5 job where you can gain skills, or at least that job is in alignment to what you want to do full time, it's really a killer now, because now you're learning on a dime. So it really all depends. But again, even 9-to-5ers, they have multiple streams of income. A retirement account it is a stream of income. That you can't reap the benefits of right away, but when you reach 69.5 or retirement age, you will be able to.
Actually, let's talk a little bit more about that. How does a retirement actually benefit you or us in a situation like that? Like, we go out and get that source of income. How does that benefit us in the long run?
Absolutely. Man, let's talk about it. So retirement, right? We really have to understand that whether you believe it or not, if you're lucky, tomorrow is coming. If you're lucky.
That is true.
You ain't living for today, you're living for tomorrow. You're living for 5 years from now. You're living for 10 years from now. And the majority of the time, we don't properly plan for our future. Like, bruh or sis, 40 years from now, if you're lucky, you ain't gonna be able to work. 50 years from now, you ain't gonna be able to work.
If you're lucky to get,
what you gonna live off of? You gonna bank on Social Security that might not be there.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, it's not a comfortable financial position to be in. So it's imperative, and it's one of the most important things that you can ever invest in outside of your health is retirement. No questions asked. No questions asked. You should begin investing in your future self today. Because whether you like it or not, if you're fortunate enough, tomorrow is coming.
Now, obviously, a little bit of something, because in the bio that I read earlier, you have 2 sources of income that's making you 6 figures. So we're hearing a lot nowadays that everyone wants a 6-figure job or wants a 6-figure person or whatever, spouse or whatever it is. Can you tell us a little bit of how you got to the position that you're in as of right now to actually have 2 sources of income that's over 6 figures?
Yeah, so man. So, I work a 9-to-5. And when I say I work a 9-to-5, I work 95 hours a week.
Mm.
And I can work 95 hours a week because I have a burning desire inside of me to create more for myself than anybody else can ever create for me alone. One of my mentors told me, he said, do for self or suffer the consequences.
Mm.
Do for self or suffer the consequences. Right? And we can wait. See, and I don't want to go into, I don't want to get too spiritual with things, but I do believe that there's a definite spiritual connection as it relates to being, living an abundant life and having the finances that you need.
No, go ahead and talk about it. That's what we want to hear.
And we have to understand that first off, we was born rich. Point blank period. You were born rich, you're just waiting to collect your payment.
Mm.
God wants all of his kids, if you're a believer in God, he wants all of his people to live an abundant lifestyle because God is abundant.
But how can you say
And
that to
if we are
somebody
made,
how can you say that to somebody who is not physically born rich and they're trying to get somewhere, but everything coming at them every which way? And it's like they're not seeing the payday at all. Like, how do you
they're
approach
not seeing what?
and not seeing the payday? Like, how do you approach that person if you say that they're born rich, but they're looking like, dude, do you see these bills? Do you see that I have everything going on? I had to pay for this daycare, and I got to go pay some taxes and bills and everything else that's going on. Like, how do you talk to a person like that where they're saying, you can say all you want all day long that I'm born rich, but if I'm not seeing that clear, that paycheck clear, especially in enough money where it can sustain me, how can I actually get that money if that's the case?
Yeah. So we got to understand that we live in a world where there are universal laws.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank period. There are universal laws, right? So this is something that I am studying, and this is something that I will continue to study for the rest of my life.
Okay.
And we got to have those things that we commit to for forever. Because if you don't have those things that you don't ever commit to fully for forever, then you'll be somebody that's always evolving to something different. Which is not a bad thing, but it depends on what direction you're evolving to and who you're becoming. So we have to understand that there are universal laws that govern the universe. Okay? So for instance, and I'm going to answer that question, but I got to give it context so that it can make sense. For instance, the law of gravity, right? No human being can control or manipulate the law of gravity. Point blank, period. If you go jump off a bridge, you will not fly. Point blank, period. You will not fly. You will fall. And I hope you got a parachute with you.
Yeah,
that's the law of gravity. Nobody can manipulate the law of gravity. So you have a choice.
Right.
You either respect the law of gravity or you suffer the consequences. So if you can understand that piece first, right, then everything else will make sense. So the first thing we have to understand is that you have to have, the best non-physical item that we all have access to is faith. Faith is invisible, but yet when you believe in it, it's incredible. When you use it to your advantage, it's incredible because of the fruit that it bears. So for somebody that's not having the success they need in their business, or they're not seeing the success or the results that they want, they have to continue to believe. They have to be persistent. See, fear, anxiety, and doubt all hang around with each other. They're like cousins, brothers and sisters. Like, they go to the shower together, they go to dinner together, they eat breakfast together, they party together, they sit back and smoke and drink together. They do everything together. Fear, doubt, and anxiety. Right? And now we're going into another universal law, the law of opposites. For everything, there's an opposite. There's a positive and there's a negative. So what is the opposite of fear, doubt, and anxiety? Faith, understanding, and confidence. Faith, understanding, and confidence is the direct opposite of fear, doubt, and anxiety, because fear is just false expectations appearing real anyway, right? So we have to have faith. We have to believe in what we're going after. And when we believe in what we're going after, the most powerful thing that we have is our mind. We can attract the things that we want. And bringing it back to God, right? God already gave us, you was already born rich. He already gave you what's yours? What's yours is already here. He gave you that, but you don't receive it until you start acting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a two-way street. You can sit back and pray all day. Oh, I hear folks talk about, oh, I ain't worried about that. God gonna do this and God gonna do that. Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure he is, but it's a two-way street. You gotta meet him halfway.
Actions
If
without.
you don't meet him halfway, ain't nothing popping. I'm
Right.
telling you that right now. Ain't nothing popping. You could do all the affirmations you want, right? But it's already yours. When you start acting and start doing, you put yourself in position to receive it. So if your business is not going as planned, be persistent. Take more action. And through the results that you get, that's going to let you know if you need to switch up your business model, do things differently, because you have to continuously look to see if the systems you have in place are producing the results that is beneficial for your business. Are you talking to the right people? Are you having the right conversation? Are you asking the right questions? Right? See, a lot of us, we go looking for the right answers, but how do we go looking for the right answers if we don't know the right questions to ask? So if you have a business and that business is not thriving, then you need to understand the industry that you're in. You need to find somebody and study somebody that has been successful in that business. And when I say study them, you got to study them to a T. You got to understand what they did. And don't take advice from everybody. Because if you take advice from everybody, all that is going to do is really mess with you. Especially if you're taking advice from people who have different opinions and different ideas about certain things. So one person believes that, oh, you should always make a left when you get to a stop sign. And the other one say, oh, you should always make a right when you get to the stop sign. Now you got two people telling you opposite things, and now you're even more confused before you even got to talking to them. So find you one or two people that you can tap into and duplicate their systems. And these people, you don't need to know these people personally. Pick up a book, study people in books, and have that burning desire to figure it out. And when you do, the universe will reward you. It's called the law of reciprocity and the law of attraction. The law of reciprocity states that the more value that you provide to other people, the more value that you then receive in your own individual life. So if you understand that law, right? Again, remember I told you that, if you give more in value than you receive in cash value, then you will always win. It's everything kind of goes back and ties all into each other, right? It's the same thing, but it's being said a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I say.
Okay. Well, I hear what you're saying. I mean, you did say that you put yourself in a situation where you were around like-minded individuals. So are you saying like go ahead and change your group up if you have people in your circle that's not thinking the same way you are, or not talking the same way you are, if they're not financially stable or whatever it is, are you saying go ahead and change your friend group? Are you saying go out and reach out to somebody else and actually just change that circle up altogether just to get to where you need to go?
Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future, period. It's that simple. When I was in college, and like I said, I was, doing all these things, and I was going to the club, getting sections and all of that stuff, but who was I hanging around? Like, what was my crowd like then?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It wasn't until I got around people who thought bigger than me. They thought bigger than me. And that's when I began to think bigger. Because I began to study them. I began to, observe and watch how they do certain things. So 100%. You got to make sure that you position yourself to be around people like-minded success seekers, people that you want to be like, people who are doing what you're trying to do. If you have an admiration to get in real estate, then you need to get around people who are in real estate. If you want to have a business, then you need to get around people who have businesses. They don't got to have super big businesses, but they need to have a business.
Now, my next question. Now we both attended college, we graduated and all that. As of right now, are you currently in debt with loans? Because I know that's a big thing for students coming out of college, having so much money, probably on average 30,000 each student having at least $30,000 dollars worth of debt because of loans, expecting to pay it off and everything else. So as of right now, if you are in debt, what are you doing to change that, situation? And if you are not or no longer in debt, if that was the case, what did you do to get to where you are?
Yeah, so I still got student loan debt. Student loan debt is unfortunately one of those things that you just can't file bankruptcy of and get rid of, right? It literally follows you until you die. You either pay it off or you pay somebody to remove it from your credit report. And even when you do pay somebody to remove it from your credit report, you still owe the debt. So it probably more 9 times out of 10 will pop back up. So for me, what I have done is create systems. I put a system in place that will pay my student loan debt for me.
Okay.
Right? Everything I want in life, I am constantly trying to figure out how can I get somebody else to pay for where I live? How can I get somebody else to pay for this? I'm literally asking myself these questions. Oh, I want to take, somebody you want to date, and I want to take them to some fancy place downtown Chicago. Or hell, I want to take them to LA, and I want to pay for everything. I want to pay for the flight. I want to pay for the hotel, the Airbnb, whatever. Okay, how can I get somebody else to pay for this? I'm literally asking myself these questions. How can I get somebody to pay for this? How many people do I need to serve? Right? How many people do I need to serve in order to get this paid for? So for me, I created an asset, an investment vehicle that pays my student loan debt for me. That's what I did. So do I still have debt? Of course. Am I rushing to get my student loan debt paid off? No, I am not, because I could be rushing to pay off, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 worth, $70,000 worth of student loan debt, or I could pay the minimum, and I can leverage my discretionary income to build assets that will pay off my debt and then continue to pay me afterwards. So you pick, pay off debt or create assets to pay your debt. Now you don't got to pay your debt no more. Your tenants do, or your clients do, or your customers do if you have a service-based or need-based business.
So with those assets and businesses, I know you mentioned that you have a couple of businesses that you are doing. And I know for a fact that you have, well, I was looking at your Instagram, of course, I have to do my research a little bit. And you have a couple passive income where I think you have car rental industry. Correct me if I'm wrong. I saw something about concealed and carry license, webinar training, credit repair. Like, are you doing all of that within your company, or is it different ones that you have going?
Yeah, so it got a little rocky on the signal or whatever. So I think you asked me, am I doing the credit repair and the concealed carry and all of those things?
Well, let me go ahead and ask again then. Basically, I saw that you have multiple streams of income, right? And I saw on your Instagram that you have different passive incomes, including car rental industry, concealed and carry license, webinar training, and also credit repair. So if you just explain a little bit about each of those businesses that you have going on.
Absolutely. So, like I said, the keys to building wealth is having multiple streams of income. And when I say having multiple streams of income, I'm not encouraging people to chase shiny objects, right? There's a thing called shiny object syndrome. Okay. And shiny object syndrome is when you're in a process of starting something or building something out, you stop that and then you go start the next thing. You get involved with the next shiny object, and then next thing you know, you jumping from one project to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, and you never really gave one the true attention that it deserves for it to bear fruit for you, especially when you're starting out in the business and the business is not working out. Now, there are times when you do need to, exit businesses because it's just not a business model that makes sense. But for the most part, we quit right before we get to that tipping point of us being able to actually start to see some fruit bearing. So yes, so I got into the rental car space. I had a buddy of mine who is one of my very closest friends. He also serves as a mentor to me in several capacities. He had been telling me to get into the rental car space for years. And he was the one that, created that group chat that I was talking about that was, telling folks how to get involved in cryptocurrency and have this big book list or whatever. And so he had been telling me to get into it for years, and I just never did because I didn't truly understand. I didn't want things to go left and all these things. And then I had another buddy of mine who I share a podcast with, the Double Up Podcast, where we talk about financial literacy, personal finance, investing, stocks, real estate, personal development, you have it. And he is also in the rental car space, and he actually created a course teaching folks how to get involved in the rental car industry. The course can be found in my bio if you're looking to get involved in the rental car space. It is one of the quickest ways and low barrier to entry things to enter if you're looking to get involved with the rental car space, right? Because you can go get a car for $13,000, $15,000, put no money down if you got good credit, or put $1,000 down or $2,000 down. Again, it's very low barrier to entry, and you can very well put a car on the road and allow that car to now generate income for you and pay itself off. It's like the somebody else can pay the car that you want off for you,
which is amazing,
right? Which is amazing. Like literally, we just gotta figure out. Okay, cool. If I want to be in one of my dream cars, right? All right. One of my dream cars is a BMW i8. I want that car. I will have that car. I just gotta go collect it. I haven't collected it yet. And so, imagine me being able to have a BMW i8, and it might cost $1,000 a month to have the car, but I could put it on Turo, and I could rent it out on Turo for $150 per day. There's 30 days in a month. Well, matter of fact, just for numbers' sake, if I rent it out for $100 a day, there's 30 days in a month. Oh, well, it probably won't get rented out, every single day. Cool. Well, let's take 20 days. Or matter of fact, let's just take 10 days, right? Or 12 days. So if I got a car I'm renting out for $100 a day for 10 days, 100 times 10 is what? $1,000. If my car note is $1,000, then now I can drive a BMW i8 and not pay for it. And I only don't have my car for 10 days out of the month, but I got a free car, and it's the car that I want.
What is that, like twice a week for 5 weeks?
That's 5 days.
It could be Friday, Saturday, it could be Monday, Wednesday, whatever days that you pick. But you're making passive income in that sense.
2, 4, 6, 8. It's 4 weekends in a month, right? Let's say somebody rented out 2 days, Friday, Saturday. Friday, Saturday.
Each week.
First weekend, second weekend, third weekend. So now you got 8 days booked up. That's $800. You rent it out for $100 a day, and now you only come out of pocket $200 a month to drive your dream car, right? Of course, there are other parameters and things like that you should familiarize yourself with, but all of those things can be found in the link in my bio on Instagram at __ Mr. Marshall, or if you don't got Instagram, you got Twitter, same thing, same handle __ Mr. Marshall. But if you have Instagram, go there. Link is in the bio. So yes, I do have 2 cars currently on the road that I haven't seen in like 6 months or so. So that's another beauty, right? The rental car business pretty much is on autopilot and it runs itself. When the renter drops it off, all I do is check it out, go get it detailed, go get it clean. But before I do all that, I check it out. I upload all the photos that are required for the platform that I'm currently leveraging to rent out the vehicle, and I go get it detailed. I go get it cleaned up. I make sure that it has gas, full tank of gas in there. I make sure that all my tires are in good shape, because when I give it to the next person, I want them to be able to have the experience of renting a vehicle that is reliable, safe, and can perform. So yes, I am involved in the rental car space. I have been a concealed carry instructor within the state of Illinois for the last 2 years or so. And that's a service-based business that I leveraged to completely replace my income prior to COVID. Like prior to COVID, it completely replaced my income from my 9-to-5 job, right? Let's just think about it on the low end. Let's say I host a class every weekend, which I do. I'm starting to pick back up now. I had kind of pressed pause on everything while we were trying to figure out what the hell was going on in the world.
Right.
But let's just say that you have a class every weekend, right? 16-hour course, two-day course, and you get 10 people a class. And then especially everything that's going on right now with the whole George Floyd situation and everything, folks want their pistols. They want to get some type of training.
No, you're right, because I need it. I need it for myself.
So if you got 10 people in the class, you charge $100 a person, which is fairly inexpensive and it's cheap. Folks are here charging $150, $200 for concealed carry licenses or certification. You have one of those, that's $1,000 a week, right? And you only need 10 people to get in there. Social media is the biggest audience lives online, right? So if you can fill up, it's building wealth is all the numbers game. That's the first thing that we gotta understand is all the numbers. You gotta know your numbers. You gotta know how much you need to make, everything, right? It's all numbers. But it's $1,000 a week, 4 weeks in a month. It's $4,000 a month. It's only having 10 people consistently each and every course, each and every class. So imagine having 20 every class. Or imagine having 30 every class. You only charging $100, right? So that's $3,000 a week. 3, 6, 9, 12. Right, it starts to, really, really pick up. So, yes, I am involved in the concealed carry stuff. I also did a ton of wholesaling as well last year and in 2019. So yeah, I got a bunch of stuff that I can go on and on about, what I'm involved with. So yeah, everything that's on the Instagram is in real life.
That's what's up. I have one more question before we wrap it all up for you today, because it kind of went by pretty fast, right? So my last question is, what are the top 5 things we can do to build wealth? Wealth. I feel like I said wealth, but top 5 things we can do to build wealth, in your opinion.
Yeah, the first thing is lock in on you and really block out all the noise and get serious with yourself and figure out who you are. Figure out what you want. Figure out what your why is. That's the most important thing. Understanding what you want. You want to build wealth, why? Right? Understanding what you want. 2, committing to the process. Commit to the process. See, a lot of us, we don't have financial problems. We have commitment problems. We don't stay committed. We're chasing the next best thing, right? And we're relying on motivation. Motivation comes and goes. I would never, ever in my life rely on motivation. I don't need somebody to come and motivate me. Motivate me for what? I'll be motivated today and not motivated tomorrow. Motivation is an emotion. That's all motivation is. It's an emotion. Every day I don't feel motivated. Sometimes I get up and I don't want to do anything. Right? We are human. We all have the same problems. See, there's no difference between the person that's wealthy and the person that's quote unquote average. The only difference is that the person that's wealthy learned the ability to continuously solve problems. And form of discipline. The more problems you solve, the more people you serve, the more you will receive in cash value, right? So get committed. When I say get really committed and be disciplined. Don't rely on motivation. Don't be motivated. Be disciplined. Don't say, I don't feel like. I hate when somebody says, I don't feel like doing it today. Or I don't feel like going to the gym, but you know you got fitness goals. What you mean you don't feel like? Like, there you go. Like, you falling into that cycle. You contributing to that system. Every time you say certain things, you're contributing your mind to that system, to that belief system. It's not about what you feel like doing. It's about what you must do right now to get you to where you're trying to go. You have to be laser focused and locked in on you and committed. Those are the first two. The third thing is, once you lock in on you and you understand what you want to do and you get committed, you need to find people who are actively doing what you're trying to do. Find out how they think. See, there's a mindset shift that needs to happen. That's the most important piece to all of this, to building wealth, to getting into real estate, to starting a business, to becoming the best version of yourself. All that requires a mindset shift. And we are all habitual people. Our success lies in our habits, the things that we unconsciously do all the time. We have to get intentional. So find somebody to study. Understand how they think. Understand why they do what they do, why they did what they did. What sort of business did they start? How did they start their business? Right? If they didn't have no money, then what did they have? Most times, if you don't have the financial stability behind you to get your business off the ground, you need to make sure that you are rich in the quality of contacts that you have. Right? If you don't got money, you better have contacts. Big Sean said it best. He said, I got so many relationships. I built so many relationships that I don't ever got to worry about finding a job. Right? So find some people to study. That's 3. Number 4, be persistent. Rome wasn't built in a day. Be persistent. Ask the right questions. Ask the right questions. Get around the right people. Understand that in order for you to receive something, you have to give up something. So we're going back to the law of opposites. It's all universal laws. Be persistent. And the last thing is believe. You got to believe. You got to believe. You won't make it if you don't believe. You got to be so. You have to be so, and that's the hardest part about it all. That's the hardest part about it all, believing. And if you can believe, you can do it. You pull it off. See, President John F. Kennedy asked some dude, when they start talking about exploring space and getting to the moon and all that, he said, what does it take for us to get to the moon? The guy responded, the will to do it. The will to do it. If you can just believe that you can do it, you can do it. And you have to reprogram yourself. The way you reprogram yourself is through affirmations. You have to say those affirmations, because we've been living in the system of doing things habitually for however long we've been doing it for so long that we have to change our programming, and your programming don't change overnight. Understand that, recognize that. So the only way you can change your programming is through repetition and affirmations. What you consume, what you listen to, what you eat, who you're around, your environment is a form of consumption. So you really have to believe. You gotta have faith. And when you believe in the invisible, incredible things happen. Then be my 5.
Well, that was actually pretty great. And I do appreciate you coming on the podcast and actually sharing your information and your knowledge about just building wealth, generational wealth, real estate, and all that as well. Do you have any final words for the audience at all?
Absolutely. Appreciate y'all for rocking with us on the Barely Adulting podcast. Had a good time. It was lit. Hope y'all was able to receive something good from this. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at __ Mr. Marshall. Hit the link in my bio if you need any resources. If you're trying to figure out how to get started, I got a book in my bio called The Power of an Idea, a beginner's guide to turning their ideas into massive profits. Very short book. I made it so that it's very and easily digestible. So if you're not a big reader, trust me, the book is not that hard to consume. You will like it. You will enjoy it. It will change your mindset. I believe that in order for you to truly gain the benefits of reading any book, I'll be honest, you got to read it at least 7 times. Any book, not just my book, but any book, you got to read it at least 7 times. Because the first time you read it, you just reading to understand. The second time you read it, you're reading it to figure out what is it, how is this book exactly directly related to you? What are you doing? Right? So every time you read it, you pick up certain things that you didn't necessarily pick up the first time. So hit the bio. There's plenty of resources there. I am also dropping a new course called The Renovation Game, a guide to managing your first rehab. So for those who are looking to get into real estate and you want to do a renovation, I will be dropping a course letting you know and teaching you how to get in the game from nothing to all the way to being a general contractor if you choose to go that route. So that's all I had to say, and peace.
Thank y'all again so much for joining the Barely Adulting podcast. Tune in next week and I'll see you then. Take care, y'all. Be sure to download, like, and subscribe each time a new episode is dropped. Follow the podcast on Instagram at Barely Adulting Pod and share with friends and family. This is your host, T. Marie, signing off. Until next week. Thanks for tuning in.